In a world often saturated with headlines of division and despair, moments of genuine human connection and unexpected kindness shine like beacons, reminding us of the enduring power of compassion. The A1 Storyteller channel prides itself on unearthing and sharing these very narratives, stories that don't just report facts, but stir emotions, provoke thought, and inspire positive change. Today we delve into one such story, a narrative that began with a seemingly mundane interaction and blossomed into an act of profound generosity. A police officer gives homeless man a ticket, returns 1 hour later with this. This particular tale centers on Officer Miller, a veteran of the force in a bustling urban precinct. Officer Miller wasn't new to the daily grind of street patrol, to the myriad challenges faced by the city's inhabitants, or to the often thankless task of upholding law and order. His days were a tapestry woven with routine calls, occasional emergencies, and countless interactions with people from all walks of life. One chilly Tuesday morning, while on his regular beat, Officer Miller spotted a figure huddled against the brick wall of a storefront. A makeshift shelter of cardboard and old blankets, offering little defense against the biting wind. This was Mr. Henderson, a homeless man who had become a familiar, if often overlooked, fixture in that particular neighborhood. Mr. Henderson, his face etched with the weariness of years spent on the streets, was attempting to warm a small can of beans over a rudimentary, unauthorized fire. A collection of twigs and paper, carefully ignited in a discarded coffee tin. It was a minor infraction, certainly not a heinous crime, but an infraction nonetheless. Open flames on a public sidewalk, especially near a building, posed a fire hazard. Officer Miller approached, his presence immediately drawing Mr. Henderson's attention. There was no aggression, no immediate confrontation, just the quiet acknowledgement of an authority figure approaching. Officer Miller, adhering to protocol, explained the violation. He couldn't ignore it. Public safety, even in minor instances, was paramount. With a sigh, Mr. Henderson nodded, understanding the officer's position. He knew the rules, even if his circumstances often forced him to bend or break them simply to survive. Officer Miller, with a professional demeanor, proceeded to issue a ticket for the unauthorized open flame. It was a standard procedure, a piece of paper that to many might seem like a cold, impersonal act. To Mr. Henderson, it was another reminder of his marginalization, another official document he couldn't possibly pay, another weight added to the already heavy burden of his existence. He took the ticket, his eyes downcast, the small fire already being carefully extinguished with a nearby empty water bottle. Officer Miller, having completed his duty, continued his patrol, the encounter seemingly concluded. However, this is where the A1 Storyteller narrative truly begins to unfold, where the surprising return aspect of our kino comes into play. The encounter, while brief and seemingly routine, had left a deeper impression on Officer Miller than he let on. As he drove away, the image of Mr. Henderson, shivering against the wall, the meager warmth of his extinguished fire dissipating into the cold air, lingered in his mind. The small fire wasn't a deliberate act of defiance. It was an act of desperation, a primal need for warmth and sustenance. The ticket, while necessary from a procedural standpoint, felt inadequate, even harsh, given the man's evident plight. An hour passed. Officer Miller completed several more calls, dealt with a minor traffic incident, and assisted a lost tourist. Yet the image of Mr. Henderson remained. It gnawed at him. He couldn't shake the feeling that he had done his job by the book, but perhaps not by the heart. His conscience, a finely tuned instrument honed by years of witnessing human suffering, urged him to do more. He began to formulate a plan, a small deviation from his patrol route, a personal initiative that went beyond the strictures of his police manual. He wasn't just an officer. He was a human being, and the humanity he saw in Mr. Henderson called to him. The city streets, often perceived as cold and indifferent, were about to witness a profoundly moving act of compassion, spearheaded by the very individual whose uniform typically represented the enforcement of rules. This wasn't just a surprising return, it was a return driven by a powerful sense of empathy, a silent refusal to let a fellow human being suffer without attempting to alleviate their immediate hardship. Unexpected kindness from police, beyond the ticket. The narrative of unexpected kindness from police beyond the ticket stands as a powerful counter-narrative to the often stereotypical portrayals of law enforcement. In a world where police interactions are frequently framed by conflict, enforcement, and authority, stories that highlight compassion and altruism are not just refreshing, they are essential. They remind us that behind the badge and uniform are individuals, capable of profound empathy and driven by a desire to help, even when their duties dictate otherwise. Officer Miller's return to Mr. Henderson was precisely this, an act that transcended the written law and spoke to a higher, unwritten law of human decency. When Officer Miller issued the ticket to Mr. Henderson, he was performing a standard part of his job. The city had ordinances against open flames on public property for legitimate safety reasons, and his role was to uphold those ordinances. From an objective standpoint, the interaction was textbook. A violation was observed, explained, and documented. Yet the very act of giving a ticket for a small fire, meant only to warm a can of beans, underscored the stark realities of homelessness. It highlighted the systemic issues that force individuals into circumstances where basic survival necessitates minor infractions. For Officer Miller, this wasn't just a fire hazard. It was a symptom of a much larger human struggle. His decision to return just an hour later was not mandated by any police procedure manual. It was a purely personal initiative, born from a deep-seated sense of empathy. He wasn't following orders. He was following his conscience. This act of unexpected kindness wasn't about enforcing the law. It was about extending a hand, providing succor, and acknowledging the shared humanity between two individuals from vastly different walks of life. As Officer Miller drove back towards Mr. Henderson's usual spot, his patrol car, typically a symbol of authority, transformed into a vehicle of hope. He wasn't returning to issue another warning or enforce another rule. He was returning with this, a symbol of care that would fundamentally alter Mr. Henderson's immediate future and perhaps his perspective on the world. The specifics of this are what make this story truly compelling and worthy of the A1 Storyteller spotlight. Officer Miller hadn't simply circled back to offer a kind word. His plan was far more tangible and impactful. He had utilized his brief break to visit a nearby fast food restaurant and then a local convenience store. His cruiser now contained not just his standard gear, but also a steaming hot meal, a substantial burger, fries, and a hot coffee, along with a small, yet crucial, survival kit. This kit included new, thick thermal socks, a warm knitted hat, a pair of gloves, and even a small, durable blanket. Items that could offer genuine protection against the relentless cold. He knew these weren't long-term solutions to homelessness, but they were immediate, practical comforts that could make a significant difference in Mr. Henderson's day, and perhaps his night. Pulling up to the curb near where he had last seen Mr. Henderson, Officer Miller stepped out of his car, carrying the bag of food and the small package of warm essentials. Mr. Henderson, who was still in the same spot, albeit now without the warmth of his small fire, looked up, a flicker of apprehension in his eyes. He likely assumed the officer was returning for a follow-up, perhaps to ensure the fire was truly out, or worse, to deliver another citation. The sight of Officer Miller approaching again, this time without the stern official demeanor of before, must have been perplexing. But then Officer Miller offered a small, genuine smile. "Mr. Henderson," he said, his voice softer than during their previous encounter. "I know I had to give you a ticket earlier, but I couldn't just leave you out here in the cold without something warm." He extended the bag of food first, the aroma of a hot meal wafting towards the hungry man. Mr. Henderson's eyes, which had held resignation, widened slightly, a mixture of disbelief and profound gratitude beginning to register. This was beyond the ticket in the most visceral sense. This was not about duty or obligation. It was about human empathy reaching across social divides. This unexpected act of kindness served as a powerful reminder that law enforcement is not a monolith of unwavering strictness. It demonstrated that officers, despite their uniforms and their roles, are individuals capable of deep compassion. Officer Miller's actions didn't erase the ticket, nor did they solve Mr. Henderson's underlying problems, but what they did was far more immediate and perhaps in its own way just as important. They offered a moment of dignity, a flash of warmth, and a clear message that he was seen not just as a statistic or an infraction, but as a human being worthy of care. It was a brief, powerful testament to the idea that true service extends far beyond the letter of the law, encompassing the spirit of human kindness and community support. It was an act that spoke volumes, without a single word of legal jargon or official directive, an act of unexpected kindness from police that truly went beyond the ticket. The narrative of Community Hero Police Officer, a story of compassion, resonates deeply within the A1 Storyteller channel's mission, highlighting individuals who, through their actions, transcend the conventional boundaries of their roles and become true pillars of their communities. Officer Miller's interaction with Mr. Henderson is a poignant illustration of this. While the term hero is often reserved for acts of grand bravery or life-saving interventions, it also applies profoundly to those who demonstrate consistent, selfless compassion, especially when that compassion challenges existing perceptions and expectations. Officer Miller's return to Mr. Henderson was not an act of immediate physical heroism, but rather an act of profound moral courage and empathy, elevating him to the status of a community hero in the eyes of many. In the bustling urban landscape, where anonymity often prevails and interactions between law enforcement and citizens can sometimes be fraught with tension, an officer who goes out of their way to provide comfort and assistance embodies the very best of public service. Officer Miller's actions weren't part of a mandated community outreach program. They were a spontaneous, personal decision, driven by an understanding that true community engagement extends beyond patrols and tickets. He recognized that Mr. Henderson, despite his homelessness, was a member of the community, albeit one on its fringes, and therefore deserved the same level of concern and respect as any other resident. His compassion was evident not only in the tangible items he brought, the hot meal and warm clothing, but also in the manner of his delivery. There was no condescension, no pity, just a straightforward act of human kindness. This is where the story truly becomes about compassion. Compassion isn't just feeling sorry for someone, it's about recognizing their suffering and being moved to alleviate it. Officer Miller saw Mr. Henderson not as a problem to be managed or an infraction to be cited, but as an individual experiencing hardship. He understood that while enforcing the law was his duty, extending human kindness was his prerogative as a fellow citizen. This kind of initiative, often unseen and unheralded, is what builds trust between police and the communities they serve. It breaks down barriers and humanizes the uniform. When an officer is perceived as someone who genuinely cares about the well-being of all community members, even those who are marginalized, it fosters a sense of security and mutual respect that no amount of policing protocols can alone achieve. Officer Miller's act was a powerful, silent declaration that his badge represented not just authority, but also a commitment to the welfare of every person under his watch. The ripple effect of such compassion is often immeasurable. While Mr. Henderson was the direct recipient of this act, the story, as shared by A1 Storyteller, inspires countless others. It reminds citizens that police officers are complex individuals, capable of great good. And it encourages other officers to perhaps look beyond the immediate requirements of their job description to see the deeper human needs present in their daily interaction. In this way, Officer Miller becomes a beacon, a living example of how compassion can be integrated into the demanding and often challenging work of law enforcement, making him a true community hero. His story is a testament to the idea that heroism isn't always about grand gestures in the face of danger, but often about small, consistent acts of kindness that affirm the dignity and worth of every individual, strengthening the fabric of the entire community through empathy and understanding. Homeless man's life transformed, one officer's impactful gesture. The phrase, homeless man's life transformed, one officer's impactful gesture, might at first glance seem like an overstatement for a hot meal and some warm clothes. However, the true transformation in Mr. Henderson's life, triggered by Officer Miller's gesture, extends far beyond the immediate physical comfort it provided. It speaks to a profound shift in perspective, a restoration of dignity, and the rekindling of hope, elements often extinguished by the relentless hardships of homelessness. This single, impactful gesture, amplified by the A1 Storyteller channel, highlights how even seemingly small acts of human connection can have monumental consequences in the lives of those who have been overlooked and forgotten. Life on the streets is a constant battle for survival, not just against the elements and hunger, but against the crushing weight of invisibility and dehumanization. Day after day, Mr. Henderson likely experienced a world that largely pretended he didn't exist, where he was stepped over, ignored, or, at best, pitied from a distance. Interactions with authority figures were typically administrative, punitive, or impersonal. He was a problem, a statistic, a person to be moved along. Officer Miller's initial interaction, issuing a ticket for a minor infraction, fit this pattern, reinforcing the idea that his existence was largely defined by rules he couldn't always follow. but the officer's return shattered that pattern. When Officer Miller presented Mr. Henderson with a hot meal and warm clothes, he wasn't just addressing physical needs. He was addressing a deeper, more fundamental human need for recognition and worth. The act communicated without words, "I see you, you matter." For someone who has been consistently ignored, this acknowledgement is incredibly powerful. It's a moment where a person is treated not as the homeless man, but as Mr. Henderson, an individual deserving of basic human courtesy and care. This is where the transformation truly begins. The immediate impact was certainly physical. The warmth of the coffee seeping into his chilled hands, the rich taste of a hot meal filling his empty stomach, the soft comfort of new socks and a hat against the cold. These are not trivial things when survival is a daily struggle. These items provided immediate relief and a brief respite from the relentless physical toll of street life. They offered a temporary shield against the harsh realities, allowing Mr. Henderson a moment of peace and comfort he likely hadn't experienced in a very long time. However, the more profound transformation was psychological and emotional. The unexpected kindness from an authority figure likely pierced through layers of cynicism, despair, and distrust that Mr. Henderson had built up over time. It reminded him that not everyone was indifferent, that compassion still existed, and that he was still worthy of it. This rekindling of hope, this subtle shift in his perception of the world and his place in it, is the true meaning of transformation here. It might have inspired him to seek out resources, to believe that there could be a path toward stability, or simply to face another day with a renewed sense of dignity. One officer's impactful gesture served as a powerful antidote to the daily diet of neglect and hardship. It was a singular act that, while not solving the systemic issue of homelessness, profoundly impacted one individual's immediate experience and potentially altered the trajectory of his outlook. It underscored the A1 Storyteller message that human connection and genuine acts of compassion hold immense power, capable of sparking hope and demonstrating that even in the bleakest circumstances, a single gesture can illuminate the path towards a more humane and caring world, reminding us all of the inherent value in every single life. The story of Officer Miller and Mr. Henderson, meticulously documented and shared by the A1 Storyteller channel, quickly transcended its initial private exchange to become a powerful example of viral good deed police, inspiring change in our city. In an age dominated by digital connectivity, narratives of genuine human kindness possess an extraordinary capacity to spread rapidly, touching hearts and minds far beyond their immediate vicinity. This particular account resonated deeply because it challenged preconceptions, humanized a public service, and presented a clear, actionable example of how individuals can make a profound difference within their communities. The concept of a viral good deed goes beyond mere popularity. It implies a widespread emotional response, and often a catalyst for broader discussion and action. Officer Miller's simple yet profound act became viral not through deliberate marketing, but through its intrinsic moral weight and its ability to connect with universal human values. When the A1 Storyteller channel first highlighted this story, the response was immediate and overwhelming. Comment sections buzzed with praise, personal anecdotes of similar kindness, and expressions of renewed faith in both humanity and law enforcement. The narrative, by its very nature, disarmed cynicism and offered a much-needed dose of optimism. What made this story particularly impactful and inspiring change in the city was its focus on a police officer. Law enforcement agencies often struggle with public perception, battling negative stereotypes and the aftermath of challenging incidents. An act of unexpected compassion from an officer doesn't just reflect well on that individual. It casts a positive light on the entire department, and by extension, the broader police force. It reminded citizens that police officers are not monolithic figures of authority, but are composed of individuals, many of whom are deeply committed to serving their communities in multifaceted ways, including acts of genuine benevolence. This story provided tangible proof that the police could be a source of comfort and assistance, not just enforcement. This viral good deed served as a powerful conversation starter within the city. Local news outlets picked up on the A1 Storyteller narrative, amplifying its reach. Discussions emerged in community forums, online groups, and even among city officials. People began to talk not just about the homelessness crisis, but about how to address it with greater empathy and direct action. The story became a touchstone, a real-world example of proactive kindness that could be emulated. Spurred by her own success, I picked up the phone and solved a building-wide energy. It moved beyond theoretical discussions of community policing to a concrete demonstration of its most humane aspects. Furthermore, the viral nature of the story likely had an internal impact within the police department itself. While Officer Miller's act was personal, its public recognition could inspire other officers to consider similar gestures. It validated the human impulse to help, providing positive reinforcement for acts that extend beyond formal duty. It subtly shifted the narrative, showcasing the profound impact that individual officers can have when they choose to lead with compassion. The story fostered a sense of pride within the force, for one of their own, and potentially encouraged a culture where such acts are not just tolerated, but celebrated. Ultimately, viral good deed police, inspiring change in our city, signifies more than just a momentary burst of online attention. It represents the potential for a single act of kindness, when shared effectively, to seed meaningful dialogues, alter perceptions, and galvanize a community towards greater empathy and proactive support for its most vulnerable members. It's a testament to the idea that positive stories, especially those that highlight unexpected goodness from those in positions of authority, can truly become catalysts for incremental but significant social change, making cities not just safer, but also kinder and more connected. Police officers' compassionate act, more than just law enforcement. The keynote, Police Officers' Compassionate Act, more than just law enforcement, directly challenges and expands upon conventional definitions of policing, underscoring that the role of a police officer, at its heart, involves a complex blend of authority, responsibility, and profound human interaction. Officer Miller's thoughtful return to Mr. Henderson with a hot meal and warm clothing epitomizes this expanded understanding, demonstrating unequivocally that effective law enforcement is often inextricably linked with acts of genuine compassion that extend far beyond the parameters of merely upholding the law. Traditionally, law enforcement is often perceived through the lens of rules, regulations, and the judicious application of power. Officers are seen as enforcers, investigators, and peacekeepers. While these are undeniably crucial aspects of the job, they represent only one facet of a multifaceted profession. The true effectiveness of law enforcement, particularly in community-centric models, lies in its ability to build trust, foster positive relationships, and address the underlying social issues that often lead to crime and disorder. It is in this broader context that compassionate acts become not just admirable, but essential. Officer Miller's decision to return to Mr. Henderson was a stark illustration of this more than just law enforcement principle. When he initially issued the ticket for the unauthorized fire, he was strictly adhering to his duties. He was enforcing a city ordinance designed for public safety. From a procedural standpoint, his job was done. Yet his conscience, his human empathy, compelled him to see beyond the immediate infraction to the deeper human need. This internal struggle and subsequent decision to act speak volumes about the moral dimension of policing, which often requires officers to navigate the gray areas between strict adherence to rules and the dictates of human kindness. This compassionate act wasn't about catching a criminal or solving a major case. It was about recognizing vulnerability, acknowledging suffering, and taking personal initiative to alleviate it. It was about Officer Miller operating as a human being first, and an officer second, using his position not for punitive measures, but for humanitarian aid. He utilized his resources and his time, not on a mandated task, but on an act of personal charity. This selfless gesture redefines what serving the public truly means, illustrating that it encompasses welfare and well-being as much as it does law and order. Such acts are vital for breaking down the often impersonal barrier that can exist between law enforcement and the public, particularly marginalized communities. When officers are seen engaging in compassionate acts, it humanizes them, making them more approachable and trustworthy. It demonstrates that their commitment to public safety includes a deep concern for individual welfare, even for those who might typically view them with suspicion or fear. It cultivates a sense of shared community responsibility, where officers are seen as partners in improving lives, not just agents of control. Furthermore, a police officer's compassionate act serves as an implicit lesson for the entire community. It highlights that everyone has a role to play in supporting vulnerable populations, and that kindness is a powerful tool for social good. Officer Miller's actions resonate precisely because they transcend the boundaries of his job description, reminding us that the uniform can contain immense empathy and that effective law enforcement is profoundly enriched when it is imbued with a compassionate spirit. It's a powerful statement that true service to a community means looking beyond the letter of the law to the heart of human need, making it profoundly more than just law enforcement. The A1 Storyteller channel specializes in narratives that grip the heart, and heart-touching police story, You Won't Believe What Happened Next, perfectly encapsulates the emotional resonance of Officer Miller's interaction with Mr. Henderson. This keynote speaks directly to the core human experience of surprise, empathy, and the profound impact of unexpected kindness. The "you won't believe what happened next" element isn't mere clickbait. It genuinely prepares the audience for a significant emotional pivot in the story, moving from a seemingly routine, even bleak, interaction to one of profound human connection and unexpected generosity. The initial scenario, a police officer giving a homeless man a ticket for a minor infraction, is unfortunately common enough to be unremarkable. It sets a tone of impersonal enforcement, an official response to a desperate act of survival. This familiar setup is precisely what makes Officer Miller's subsequent actions so incredibly powerful and unbelievable in the best possible way. The expectation is that the interaction ends there, perhaps with the homeless man feeling more ostracized and the officer moving on to the next duty. The deviation from this expected trajectory is what makes the story so heart-touching. When Officer Miller returned, not to deliver another citation or enforce a further rule, but to offer a hot meal and warm clothes, the narrative shifts dramatically from a sterile exchange to a deeply personal and humane encounter. This sudden turn elevates the story beyond a simple report of events. It transforms it into an emotional journey. For Mr. Henderson, it was a moment of grace, a break in the relentless cycle of hardship and invisibility. For Officer Miller, it was an act of personal integrity and compassion, demonstrating that his role extended far beyond the letter of the law. This type of story resonates because it taps into universal human desires for connection, empathy, and hope. It appeals to our innate sense of fairness and our belief in the good within people, even in challenging circumstances. The "you won't believe what happened next" aspect plays on our curiosity but rewards it with a truly uplifting revelation that kindness can emerge from the most unexpected places. It's a reminder that beneath the uniforms and the social divides, there is a shared humanity capable of profound acts of care. The story becomes heart-touching because it speaks to the best of us, highlighting moments when individuals choose compassion over indifference, challenging our assumptions and warming our spirits. It's a powerful testament to the idea that acts of kindness, especially when unexpected, can leave an indelible mark on both the giver and the receiver, creating a narrative that truly sticks with you. Officer's Generous Surprise, a powerful lesson in empathy. The keynote, Officer's Generous Surprise, a powerful lesson in empathy, precisely captures the essence of Officer Miller's actions, framing his return to Mr. Henderson as more than just a good deed, but as an educational moment for all who witness it. The generous surprise refers not only to the material provisions, the hot meal and warm clothing, but also to the unexpected emotional gift of being seen and cared for. This surprise delivers a powerful lesson in empathy, demonstrating its practical application and profound impact in real-world scenarios, particularly within the challenging context of public service. Empathy, at its core, is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. For Officer Miller, it meant looking beyond the cold facts of a public ordinance violation and recognizing the deeper human story of Mr. Henderson's struggle for survival. It meant imagining himself in Mr. Henderson's shoes, feeling the bite of the cold, the gnawing of hunger, and the pervasive sense of invisibility that comes with homelessness. This imaginative leap is what propelled him to act, transforming a routine stop into an opportunity for genuine human connection and aid. The generous surprise wasn't simply about providing charity. It was about providing it in a way that restored dignity. There was no public spectacle, no condescension. Officer Miller approached Mr. Henderson quietly, respectfully, extending help as one human being to another. This manner of giving is itself a powerful lesson in empathy, teaching us that true generosity isn't just about what you give, but how you give it. It's about understanding the recipient's vulnerability and ensuring the act of giving enhances rather than diminishes their self-worth. This story serves as a lesson for police forces about the importance of incorporating empathy into their daily interactions. recognizing that a holistic approach to community policing involves addressing immediate human needs when possible. It also offers a lesson for the wider public, encouraging individuals to look beyond superficial judgments and consider the circumstances and humanity of those they encounter, especially the most vulnerable. It asks us to consider what small, surprising act of generosity can each of us offer to make a powerful, empathetic impact. Officer Miller's actions demonstrated that empathy is not a passive feeling. It is an active force that drives positive change. It teaches that even within structured roles like law enforcement, there is ample room for individual initiative driven by a compassionate heart. The ripple effects of such a lesson can be profound, inspiring others to extend unexpected kindness, thereby fostering a more empathetic and supportive community. His generous surprise was not just a one-off act. It was a living, breathing testament to the transformative power of empathy in action, a reminder that understanding and caring for others is one of the most impactful gestures we can offer. The narrative, championed by the A1 Storyteller channel, focusing on Officer Miller and Mr. Henderson, powerfully embodies positive police interaction, changing perceptions, one act at a time. In a world often colored by skepticism and negative media portrayals, a single act of genuine kindness from an officer can profoundly shift public perception, proving that positive engagements are not only possible, but essential for fostering trust and community cohesion. This keynote highlights the incremental yet significant impact of individual actions. It acknowledges that systemic change is complex, but personal interactions, like Officer Miller's, serve as vital building blocks. When an officer steps outside the strictly enforced parameters of their duty to offer humanitarian aid, it dismantles stereotypes and presents a more nuanced, humane image of law enforcement. For Mr. Henderson, this was undeniably a positive interaction, moving beyond the impersonal issuance of a ticket to a moment of direct care. For any witnesses, and certainly for the audience of A1 Storyteller, it painted a picture of police as compassionate community members. Such positive interactions are crucial for bridging divides between police and the communities they serve. They show that officers are committed to public welfare in a broad sense, not just crime suppression. This story, in particular, speaks to the power of human connection to change hearts and minds, proving that trust can be built, one empathetic act at a time. It's a testament to the idea that police work is as much about human relations as it is about law enforcement, with positive interactions serving as powerful catalysts for improving overall community police dynamics. Real-life heroes police, making a difference for the homeless. The keynote, Real-Life Heroes Police, making a difference for the homeless, perfectly encapsulates the profound impact of Officer Miller's actions, elevating his compassionate gesture to the realm of true heroism. This isn't about superheroes with capes, but about individuals in everyday uniforms who choose to act with extraordinary kindness and empathy, particularly towards the most vulnerable members of society. Officer Miller's intervention for Mr. Henderson unequivocally positions him as a real-life hero. He saw a fellow human being in dire need, and rather than simply adhere to protocol, he chose to go above and beyond. By providing a hot meal and warm clothes, he wasn't just offering temporary comfort, he was offering a lifeline, a moment of dignity and warmth that could significantly impact Mr. Henderson's immediate well-being and outlook. This act of making a tangible difference for the homeless community, one individual at a time, is the essence of everyday heroism. This story, shared by A1 Storytellers, shines a light on the often unseen compassionate acts performed by police officers. It celebrates those who embody the spirit of service by extending care and support to those who are often overlooked. It challenges the public to recognize the heroism not just in dramatic rescues, but in quiet acts of compassion that genuinely improve lives, especially within vulnerable populations like the homeless. Officer Miller's actions are a powerful reminder that heroes walk among us, often in unexpected uniforms, making a profound difference through simple, heartfelt generosity. The narrative of Officer Miller's benevolent act towards Mr. Henderson, highlighted by the A1 Storyteller channel, resonates deeply with the keynote, Hope for the Homeless Community, a police officer's kindness. In the often grim reality of homelessness, where despair can be a constant companion and the future seems perpetually bleak, even a single act of kindness can ignite a powerful flicker of hope. This story underscores how an individual officer's compassion can become a beacon, challenging the pervasive sense of abandonment that often afflicts those living on the streets and offering a tangible demonstration that they are not entirely forgotten. Life for the homeless community is fraught with challenges that extend far beyond the immediate lack of shelter. It encompasses a relentless struggle against hunger, exposure, illness, and the psychological toll of social exclusion. Individuals experiencing homelessness often face judgment, indifference, and a pervasive sense of invisibility from the wider society. They are frequently treated as problems to be managed, rather than people to be supported. In this environment, interactions with authority figures, particularly the police, can often be viewed with apprehension, anticipating enforcement or removal rather than assistance. Officer Miller's decision to return to Mr. Henderson with a hot meal and warm clothing directly contravened these expectations. His gesture transcended the formal boundaries of law enforcement and entered the realm of genuine humanitarian aid. For Mr. Henderson, this was not just about receiving physical comfort. It was about receiving validation. It was about being seen as a human being worthy of care and consideration, rather than merely an occupant of public space or a violator of minor ordinances. This acknowledgement of his humanity is precisely what instills hope. It reminds individuals that not everyone is indifferent, that compassion still exists, and that there are people who genuinely care about their well-being. The impact of such an act on the broader homeless community, even indirectly, can be significant. Stories like Officer Miller's, when shared, become powerful anecdotes that circulate within these communities. They offer a counter-narrative to the daily struggles and negative interactions, providing instances of positive engagement that can rebuild a fractured sense of trust. When a police officer, a symbol of authority, extends kindness, it suggests a broader societal capacity for empathy that might otherwise seem absent. This offers a glimmer of hope that perhaps there are resources, support systems, and individuals willing to help, making the seemingly insurmountable challenges of homelessness feel a little less daunting. Furthermore, a police officer's kindness can inspire others within the community to act. When people see law enforcement taking proactive steps to help the homeless, it can encourage volunteers, nonprofit organizations, and even ordinary citizens to redouble their efforts or initiate new forms of support. It galvanizes a collective sense of responsibility, showing that addressing homelessness isn't solely the purview of social services, but a shared community endeavor. Officer Miller's act of kindness thus becomes a catalyst, fostering a broader sense of hope and demonstrating that through compassionate individual action, meaningful positive change is possible for the homeless community. It's a powerful testament to the idea that dignity and empathy can be just as vital as direct aid in alleviating suffering and rekindling the spark of optimism in those who need it most. Must-see police compassion video. Emotional twist ending. The A1 Storyteller channel's compelling presentation of Officer Miller's interaction with Mr. Henderson is perfectly encapsulated by the keynote must-see police compassion video. Emotional twist ending. This phrasing is specifically designed to highlight the narrative's inherent drama, its capacity to evoke strong feelings, and its deviation from expected outcomes, all elements that make a story resonate deeply and demand attention in today's media landscape. The must-see aspect isn't an exaggeration. It points to the profound emotional payoff and the vital message embedded within the video. The setup of the story deliberately creates an initial expectation that is challenged by the emotional twist ending. An officer issuing a ticket to a homeless man for a fire to warm food evokes a sense of sadness, perhaps frustration, and an expectation of a standard, impersonal resolution. This conventional beginning sets the stage for the powerful subversion that follows. Viewers are prepared for a story about the harsh realities of life on the streets and the rigid enforcement of rules. The twist then delivers an emotional punch that is both surprising and incredibly heartwarming. The emotional twist ending is, of course, Officer Miller's return. It's the moment the narrative pivots from routine duty to profound human kindness. The expectation of further enforcement or indifference is replaced by an act of thoughtful generosity, a hot meal and warm clothes. This unexpected turn is deeply moving because it contrasts so sharply with the initial encounter. It taps into our universal appreciation for redemption, for unexpected goodness, and for moments when human empathy triumphs over cold procedure. This twist isn't just a narrative device, it's the very heart of the story's emotional power. This compassionate act becomes a must-see because it offers a powerful counter-narrative to often negative portrayals of law enforcement. It provides a real-life example of an officer choosing to embody the highest ideals of service and compassion, humanizing the badge and reminding viewers of the inherent goodness that exists even in challenging professions. In terms of passion and romance, the emotional resonance comes from witnessing the officer's initiative, the homeless man's visible surprise and gratitude, and the universal message that kindness can appear when least expected. With the A1 Storyteller channel, presenting this as a must-see police compassion video emphasizes its capacity to inspire, uplift, and provoke thought. It's a story that compels sharing because it leaves viewers with a sense of hope and a renewed belief in humanity. The emotional twist ending ensures that the narrative is not easily forgotten. It's a moment of profound impact that lingers long after the video concludes, encouraging reflection on empathy, duty, and the unexpected ways in which individuals can make a profound difference in the lives of others. It's a masterclass in storytelling that moves beyond mere reporting to truly touch the soul, proving that compassion, when spotlighted, is indeed a powerful and unforgettable force. What an incredible story, demonstrating the profound impact one person can have. Did this officer's actions resonate with you? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing your perspectives. If this story moved you, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends and family, and don't forget to subscribe to A1 Storyteller for more inspiring narratives. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another story that truly matters. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.